Welcome to the Disc Golf Prescription Podcast, your weekly dose of disc golf. Hello and welcome to the Disc Golf Prescription Podcast. I'm your host, John Nicholson, and today's guest, we have a media producer at Dynamic Disc. He nearly lost a finger this past weekend, but he still managed to press enough buttons to join the show today. We have Mr. Anthony Den Heuvel. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm great, John. I can count to 9 3/4. Luckily, this isn't, it's not my clicking finger, so I can type decently well. I can click a mouse. I got both thumbs. I can do phone stuff, but yeah.
Did you reference 9 3/4 because you're a Harry Potter fan?
Not intentionally, but yeah, totally. I've seen some of the movies. I remember most of it.
That is fantastic, or fantastical, depending on.
I've been to is it Universal, where they have like the Harry Potter's Wizarding World? Been there, drank a butterbeer, so I've pretty much done the whole thing.
Steph would be so jealous right now. All right. Do you know why you're on the show today?
Not a clue. You figured there had to be an episode of your show that is the lowest viewed. And so I said, fine, if you need someone to volunteer for that, John, I'll do it. It's fine. Somebody's got to be it. I'll take one for the team.
No, actually, no. It was Madison and I had a talk, and this is actually a show that is about an intervention. You're no longer allowed to cut vegetables.
Fine. If that means she's making dinner every night, great. That's literally for me. This is a great deal. Worth it. 100% worth it.
That's great. But in all seriousness, the reason I have Anthony on the show today is because Anthony has been in disc golf media for a while, and that's what we're talking about today. Disc golf media, because it's going crazy in these last few years. Yeah. Before we get any further along in the show, though, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, share. There's another thing. Do all the things. Subscribe. Thank you. It's another S. It's so easy, but I can only get 3 out of 4. There's something about the 3/4 that is strong today. If you are listening on a podcast app, good start. Please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. It really, really helps in making how discoverable we are. Yes, high five that camera. And last but not least, if you are here listening or watching, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. With all of that being said, Anthony.
Yes.
I actually have no idea. How the heck did you get into disc golf?
The sport itself, or the media side?
The sport itself. What are your disc golf beginnings?
So it was the summer going into my freshman year of high school. So this would have been, I graduated 2011, so this would be summer of 2008, I believe. A group of my group of friends, most of them, I'm not sure how they got into it, but I'd heard them talk about frolf before, and I was like, you guys are dumb. You literally throw frisbees to nothing, walk and pick it up and then throw it again. And that's you enjoy that. You think that that's fun. You guys are lame. And they invited me to play a couple of times. And I just was like, no, that sounds so stupid. I'm not doing that. And eventually they just had asked enough times where I was like, all right, fine. You guys want to go do this thing? Let's go. I'll go and I'll do this thing with you and I'll try it. And I still remember the very first course I played is called Randall Oaks. It's in, not Cary, but it's in somewhere in Illinois. I forget the exact.
Somewhere in Illinois is where all courses in Illinois are.
Yeah,
somewhere.
100% of courses in Illinois are in Illinois. Yeah. It's called Randall Oaks. It's like a 10-hole course, and we went there. And I obviously didn't have any discs. They were the type of guys that had 3, and whatever. And so they let me borrow one. And I remember I threw my first shot, and it went straight up in the air and 80 feet left, and it was about 10 feet away from me. And I was like, that sucked, but I kind of liked it. And we finished the first hole, and I was like, okay, I probably got a 40, I don't know. But I was like, all right, I'm going to do better than that on hole 2. And so we ended up playing, and like I said, it was a 10-hole course. It took us maybe an hour. We played it. We went back home, and we were like going to jump on Call of Duty or something. We were all just sitting there, and like somebody else was playing, and I was like, I don't want to ask if they want to go play again, because like I don't want them to be right? Like I want to be the one that was like, I told you this was lame, it was lame. But I really wanted to go play again. And so I think I waited until like the next day. And my friend was like, hey dude, we're gonna get on Call of Duty, whatever. And I'm like, do you guys want to go play disc golf again first? I think we called it frolf for a while. I was like, do you guys want to go frolf first and then we can? And I was like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. And yeah, from literally the first throw, I was like, oh, I kind of like this. This is like, I'm happy with this. This is something I enjoy.
Yeah, the first disc golf experience typically is like, wow, I'm pretty terrible at this.
Yeah.
Even I threw frisbees for like 10 years before I played disc golf. And like I think I told Eric this last week on the podcast, and I was like, I had an Innova Groove, and it was extremely overstable, at least at the time. I have no idea what its stability is now. And every time I threw it, I was like, this sport is so dumb. Like the disc just goes straight left. Like I don't understand. If I play disc golf, I'm going to play it with an ultimate disc, because I'm special, and I just need to throw this disc. So it took me a long time to love disc golf.
I remember, it was the same thing for me of like, I've thrown a frisbee before, dude. Like if you go stand 50 feet that way, I can throw a frisbee to you. Like I'm not the smartest, but like I'm not that dumb. I know how to throw a frisbee, and I throw this thing and it doesn't work. And it was just that like perfect level of frustrating to like keep me coming back of like, I got to learn how to do this, but not so frustrating that it's just like, I'll never be able to do it. It's always like, I'm so close. I know it's possible. I can do it, but I just right now can't.
I'm going to figure this out no matter what.
Yeah. So it's been like 14 years and I still can't. 15 years, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while. Still can't do it. So yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
You do it pretty well.
I do it better than I did then.
That's fair.
Relative to my company, I'm the worst person on this call, though.
I mean, I would destroy you. That is true. But
I can't right now.
That's right. Yeah. Me too. Walking is hard currently. That'd be a really good time for us to play.
Yeah, getting out of bed, everything is just like cracking and popping, and it takes me a minute. Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's how you started playing disc golf, very reluctantly.
Yeah.
When did like content creation start to enter the mix?
So I'm the type of person that like when I get into something, I like to just like get into that thing, right? So I started looking up online of like disc golf videos or frolf tournament or how to frolf better or whatever. And that was probably within 6 months of when I first started, because it was like, I need to figure out how to not like, I need to be better than my friends. I don't need to win.
Frolf good.
Yeah, right. Frolf GUD. That's yeah. So it was like, I can't be the worst of my friend group. I don't have to win every time, but I can't get beat every time. And so I started watching stuff, and fast forward a few years, I think it was 2012, I worked at a pro shop. That pro shop ended up closing, and I was just kind of between jobs. And one of the YouTube channels that I watched, it's not around anymore, but it was called Go Ham Disc Golf. I think it's still up. If you look it up, I think it's still there. But the guy hasn't made videos in a long time. And I remember watching his videos, and I was like, and this is not an attack on him at all, but I remember watching his videos, and I was like, I mean, I could make this video. Like I had never made a video before, but watching it, I was like, I can go to a field, press record on my phone, and then upload it to YouTube. And so that was if you go back to my channel, that is what the original videos are. It's like, they're still up there, which I should take them down, but I've told myself I'm not going to. It's
I know
just
what
like
I'm
me
doing after this.
Yeah, it's rough, dude. It's rough. But it's literally like me throwing in a field, and you don't see me, like the disc will just go flying by and whatever. And so that was 2013, and I just kind of did that for a while, and eventually it was like, oh, I got 10 subscribers. My video got 100 views. This is really cool. And it just kind of kept going. Like, I don't know why, but people watched it, people subscribed to it, people would engage with it, and it just kind of, grew from there.
That is very cool. I didn't actually know that that's how it started. It sounds like that guy quit going ham at some point, but
yeah, he went turkey. He went cold turkey.
Yeah, I love the solid deli references at this point in time. Very, very appropriate.
Potter, deli meats. I don't know what's coming next.
I'm starving, so we gotta stop talking about
lots of food coming your way then, John.
So that's how you started creating content. I know you got big into doing like disc reviews and things like that. What was your favorite kind of content to create?
That's a good question because I'm not sure. I don't, it's tough for me to answer that because like I wasn't particularly good at any of it. If there was something that I felt like I was really good at doing, it would probably be that, just because like so much of it was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to do it. And then like people watched it. So yeah, disc reviews were definitely the biggest thing that I did. It was the most common piece of content type, I guess. But so yeah, that would have to probably be my answer by default, just because not going into that with no expectations is kind of what you have to do. And when I just didn't know what I was doing, that's all I could have. I don't know what's going to come out of this. And that's kind of the point of doing a review on something, is to give like as unbiased of an opinion, or as maybe not unknowledgeable, but something along those lines of just not, you can't go into it with an idea of what the disc is, or what you can't make it do something. Like, let the disc speak for itself.
No, that's great. And I think a really good take home for like people at home, especially when it comes to media stuff, is like when I started this podcast, for instance, I've learned along the way, but I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, you know what? If I keep waiting to know what I'm doing, I'm never going to start. And so a huge thing especially in disc golf media, where there's a pretty low barrier to entry, at least at like social media or your own personal social media, is like, start doing something. Even if it sucks, you can go back and watch Anthony's YouTube. Like, even if it sucks. Even if it's terrible, get started, because that's going to be your easiest way to learn what not to do. And learning what not to do sometimes is more valuable than learning what to do.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah, and I remember hearing something, I forget who it was that said it or exactly how it was phrased, but it was kind of along the lines of what you were saying, where it's like, it was something like, the best way to learn is by doing it. And if you're not doing it, other people are, and they're learning, and you'll never catch up to those people. Right. So like, just start doing it, and eventually you'll get to a point where you kind of feel like you know what you're doing, or have some sort of understanding.
That sounds like a very like Gary V things to say, except with like 20 less F-bombs. Nope. We are good on those.
You got a beeper on that soundboard down there?
Somewhere. Where is it at? I can't see it. I'm gonna play that because I couldn't find it, and
that's
so
close enough.
It's
it's close enough.
That's a big bummer. So you were doing a lot of disc golf media. You're doing a lot of disc reviews and things like that. And then, how did you start getting involved with Dynamic Discs?
So initially, they would send me products to, they found the channel or found a video or something, and one way or another, whether Bobby's the one that found it or someone passed it on to him or something, he reached out and basically was like, hey, if we send you some discs, do you want to make videos about them? And so I was like, yeah, of course. Instead of me having to spend whatever, I don't know, a Lucid disc at the time was probably like $15. So instead of me having to spend like $15, $20 on a video, I just get to do it for free, and I get a disc out of it. Like, yeah, this is a no-brainer for me. And so I did that, and yeah, it just kind of grew and continued on from there.
No, that is awesome. As you got like involved with DD, what was your role when you first got there?
So let's see, before I was an employee, I guess you would call it like freelance, I guess, where Bobby would send me a video and he would say, hey, cut this up into 15-second chunks so that we can put it up on Instagram stories or whatever. And it was there was like a brief period where I had agreed to come work here, but I hadn't started working here yet. And it was kind of in that period. So I wasn't technically an employee, but I kind of was. But then, yeah, ever since I've been here full time, I've always been in the media department. Small little role changes and title changes along the way. I think I started as maybe a media assistant, and then for a while I was in charge of the squad, and now I've taken on a role kind of communicating, going back and forth with the team, and I focus more on the pre-production rather than post-production, and so it's all kind of shifted, but definitely all still within the realm of media. So assistant to now producer.
Ooh, dang.
Button up my shirt here. Yeah.
Yeah, you go button up that hoodie. I love it.
Here, let me do this. It's hard to do it in the camera, but.
Oh, that's fancy stuff. My goodness.
Thank you.
So when you first, that's awesome to hear that you like freelanced first for DD, and then you were hired on, and then how big was the media department when you first got hired on? Like, I know there was Bobby.
So when I got hired on, it was just Bobby and I. Bobby was the only other person here. There were, before me, I think the biggest the media department was at one time was 4 people. But it just kind of was like, I think only 2 of them had media as like a specific role that they did. The other 2 guys, I think this was before my time. I think it was like just as, hey, we need to fill 5 hours of your time. Go and do this or do that. Yeah, so there was Bobby and then another kid, and he left. He moved down to Wichita, I believe, and then so I came in after him. So yeah, it was just Bobby and I when I first started.
Oh, very cool. So I guess I didn't realize that. And then how big is the media department now?
So now there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. In the media wing itself, we've got 6. Yeah. A little bit bigger.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, even seeing the studio like 2 years ago at the old warehouse compared to like the media wing now is kind of insane.
Yeah, the studio at the old warehouse was also Danny and I's office. It was just like that side of it. We just put all our stuff behind the cameras. Whereas now, like, I have my own office. Danny has his own office. Both of our names are on separate doors. So we each have our own office. And then outside of that is the actual studio where we film a lot of the stuff and record things like that. So yeah, we have our own studio and offices, where before it was 2 offices and a table in a corner.
That is, it's wild how fast it's grown. With all of that growth, have the types of like projects you guys work on, have those changed over time as well? Like, and especially with how like, I assume they've gotten more complicated as well.
Yeah. So it's definitely changed. It used to be like, you can even go back and watch the content that we put out I started in 2017. You could watch something from 2017 to now. And back then it was really easy to come up with some goofy idea and just go do it, because there wasn't as much demand and there wasn't as much to do, right? Our to-do lists were a lot shorter. Whereas now, there's just a constant stream of things happening, players doing things, new products coming out, discs, bags, baskets, apparel, and anything. There's always something to do. Whereas before we kind of had the chance to kind of freelance almost, and just do whatever we felt like doing. And then it's also, as it's grown, like things have become a lot more structured as well. Right. So rather than Bobby and I walking in on a Monday morning and saying, what do you feel like doing this week? I could tell you what I'm doing at the end of this month. I could tell you what I'm doing, in July. I could tell you roughly at least what I'm doing in July, maybe not specific, but like I know what videos we will be coming out with in June, July, August, all that stuff.
Gotcha. So as most things do, it's become a lot more structured and organized and regimented, which leads to a lot more output in a lot of cases as well. So
yeah, and it's a really interesting balance, like with this department specifically, because you have to have room for creativity when you're talking about media and content that you want people to enjoy, right? It'd be really easy to just send somebody behind a table and say, this is the Lucid Enforcer. It's an overstable distance driver with the flight numbers 12, whatever, right? Like that, no one's going to enjoy that. No one's going to want to watch that or want to buy that disc or whatever. And so you have to find that balance of structure and, like everything has to be, like you said, regimented, but also freedom and leave room for creativity and things to kind of bend those rules a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I like the subtle disc plug for the Freedom.
Hey,
I actually had somebody talk about a Freedom yesterday. I hadn't heard about the Freedom in a long time.
I think it was 2020 or 2021. That was like one of our best selling discs. And I thought someone made a mistake. Of like, there's literally no chance that that's true. Like, that's not real. There's no way. But with all of the new players, it was like they were just looking for beginner-friendly discs that go far, and that's what that thing is. And so it was just, it was like Judge, Warden, Freedom, EMAC Truth. And I was like, what is the Freedom doing in this? And they just like, are they seeing if people are paying attention when they put this stuff out? But no, it was, beginners. It's a good beginner distance driver. Kind of an oxymoron there.
It goes very far for throwing it not very fast. Yeah. But the problem is, as soon as you throw it fast, uncontrollable.
Yes.
You can't.
Right. If anyone that throws over 301 feet tries to throw it, like it's gonna flip over. But if you're the type of person that throws like 150 feet and you want something to go, it's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. It does very, very well at what it's good at until you reach a certain point, and then it's like, I gotta get a new disc.
Right. Can I get on a soapbox for a minute real quick, John?
Oh, 100%. I'm ready.
People always talk about, and I've said this in videos many times, people always talk about utility discs being like a Justice, a Felon, Enforcer, Stiletto, like just bananas overstable stuff. There is 100% like utility understable discs.
Oh, 100%.
Something like a Freedom where it is just bananas understable. You can use that. It's not as trustworthy. It's not as predictable. It's not as regular of a need as something like a Justice would be. But it's 100%. If you need something that is never, and I mean never, going to go to the left, like I can't make a Freedom fade. If I tried to throw it and wanted it to go left, I can't.
You can make it cut roll.
But even then, it's so unstable that it's going to at least stand up and go straight.
That's probably true. I used to have a Biofusion Thief that was super beat up, and that was my utility understable disc.
Just throw it on hyzer and it lands upside down?
I could throw it in the air on Anheuser and make it do the, what is that called, a Skamahawk? I could make it Skamahawk for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a sweet disc. Low hyzer flip rollers used to be a thing in my arsenal. I don't know why, but it existed for a period of time. All right. The last question I kind of have in this little segment is, we talked about the size of DD's media department, how it's gotten bigger over time. Yeah. I don't really know. Do any of the other manufacturers have media departments like DD's? It seems like I don't know.
Yeah, so To my knowledge, no. I don't want to say that for certain. Everybody kind of structures their departments differently. Like, I know Discraft has one guy that handles a lot of their stuff. He does a lot of their videos, a lot of their graphics. He's kind of like myself, one of our graphic designers, and maybe I think he does a little bit of marketing stuff, like all kind of lumped together. Innova has like 14 artists on staff that just draw the designs for their, like the DX discs and all of the artwork and stuff that they have. They have a bunch of in-house artists and things like that, but I don't think they have nearly as many video people as we have. So I'm not too familiar with like Discmania or anybody else, but no, I don't think, at least in terms of the layout of ours, there might be somebody else that has 6 media people in their company, but I don't know if they have, like, we have 3 graphic designers, 3 video guys. I'm not sure if anybody else has kind of like an even split like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it struck me as being unique, and so I was curious if that was actually the case or if I'm just uninformed, maybe. All right. So with that, we are actually moving into...
Is it time?
I have the soundboard back, guys. It's not in a very advantageous position for me to hit, as you could tell when I couldn't hit the censor button earlier. I was desperately searching. Right. But it is time for Steph's curious questions.
Who?
I had to hit that again because it had been too long.
Whose questions are these?
Steph, you know Steph, my wife. Not Amy.
No, that's not your wife's name. Not what she told me, at least. She told me her name was Amy.
I love it. Oh my goodness. So you are familiar with Steph's curious questions, but in case some people out there are not familiar with Steph's curious questions, basically my wife, her name is Steph or Amy, depending on whether you're Anthony or not.
Depends what she told you. If she lied to you, she said her name is Steph. If she told the truth.
If I tell her who's coming on the show this week and she comes up with 3 questions she would like to ask those people. Sometimes she stalks their social media. Sometimes she just has 3 questions. I don't control it. I just ask the questions here. So are you ready to enter?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. Nothing too spicy here.
Okay.
So question number 1. You got to watch a SpaceX launch. If you had the chance to ride on one, would you?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I would be terrified. But yeah, that is a once in a lifetime type thing. Yeah, so yes, 100%. I am terrified of heights. Don't do them. I'm okay in airplanes and stuff. So I think maybe for a spaceship might kind of push the limits, but of course you have to.
I don't know that the SpaceX flights have windows that you could see out of as you're launching, but maybe.
I'd still know. I would know.
As you're flattened against your seat, you're like, oh, I'm pretty high up in the air right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, and I would know. I mean, I'd know as you're walking across the thing to get into it. I know what I'm walking to right now, and I don't like it, but I'm going to do it. I have to do it. You have to. Yeah, of course. Yes, absolutely.
That's fair. People pay outrageous amounts of money for that, and I'm essentially saying you could go on it for free. So yes, you would have to take that opportunity.
Deal, Howie. Sign me up.
All right. Question number 2. What restaurant or store would you like to see open up in Emporia, Kansas, and why?
John. I have to pick just one?
Just one.
Oh.
Okay, one restaurant, one store. Doesn't make it any easier because I know you're going to go with 2 restaurants.
If I have to pick one, it's Costco.
Oh.
For sure. Because Walmart is the main grocery store that we go to because it's closest to our house and it has everything. But Costco is just that on steroids. And yeah, so it would definitely be Costco. if I'm only allowed to pick one, then that still technically counts because they kind of have that. It's not a restaurant, but you can get like a hot dog or pizza or whatever. So there's still pre-made food that you could get there. But then, gosh, after that,
Costco's food court is fire.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. We would go there in high school, and it was like you could get a slice of pizza, a hot dog, and a drink, and just not be able to walk because you're so full. Because the slice of pizza is half a pizza, the hot dog is a foot long, and the drink is half a gallon, and it's like $2.50. Like how is this real life? This isn't possible.
It's a little more than that now, but it's still relatively cheap.
Yeah, right. And they even sell gas, so like, yeah, definitely Costco. Restaurant is tough, man. I don't have like a specific answer, but it would be some sort of very nice sushi place. We have a food truck that is apparently pretty good sushi, and we had two places, one of them closed, that are like, it's fine. It's not bad sushi. I've never been sick eating there or anything. But if we had like a real nice one, I love sushi. I get down on that stuff.
Sushi is great. That place in downtown isn't good. Or did that place close? I know they serve sushi as well, so I don't know if it is a ramen place or what it is exactly.
It's kind of closer towards ESU.
Yes.
Like, yes. Yeah. It's mostly a ramen place, but they do have sushi. Yeah. The sushi place that closed was the one on 6th Street, kind of that main strip. It's really funny let me go on a tangent real quick. It's your show, but I'm going to take control for a minute. When I first moved to Emporia, my parents came and helped me move and kind of find an apartment and stuff like that. And as we were driving down that main strip, there's a sign, and I forget what it was called, but it said like the name of this place, Sushi. And we all looked at it and we're like, that place looks sketchy. It was not in the best shape. It had been there for a while, kind of a rundown looking building. And I was like, I'm not going to eat anything that comes out of there, especially raw fish. Like, not happening. And then one day a group of people at work were going there for lunch, and they invited me, and I was like, oh, you know what? All right, sure, peer pressure, I'll go. And it was actually pretty good. But it looked not like a place you would want to eat sushi from, which might have had something to do with them closing. The two might be related. I don't know.
I do approve of your two choices, though. Costco's so good.
Yeah.
And a sushi place would be great. Granted, I'm a baby when it comes to sushi. Like I'm not a sashimi person just because it's a texture thing. Really, I enjoy the flavor.
That's fair.
But sushi rolls, oh my gosh,
yeah,
I'm always down.
Yeah, you're wrong, but that's a very fair stance to have.
Yeah, I accept being wrong in that.
Okay, good.
All right, so we've gotten two out of the way. The third question. Mm-hmm. What is the most ridiculous talent that you have?
Oh,
the answer is no talent, but let's hear what he says.
What's a talent that I have, first of all? Yikes, man.
Sorry, let me change the question. Mm-hmm. What is a talent that you have?
Not thinking of things on the spot. That's not at the top of the list. The most ridiculous talent that I have?
Like you're surprisingly a ping pong master. You're excellent at cutting your finger while you're chopping vegetables.
Unintentionally, very good at that. Done it one time in my life. Really fun experience. Highly recommended. Something. This is tough.
You can plead the fifth if you want to take the easy way out.
It's not that. It's I don't want to tell you. It's just that I'm struggling to think of like.
You're surprisingly good at Magic the Gathering.
I'm all right. I like to think I'm all right. At least I don't. You know.
You're a secret chess master.
I have beat my dad in chess many moons ago.
Claim to fame.
He beat me way more.
Out of context, sounds terrible.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At chess. He beat me at chess. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. I know we're not live, but if someone just tuned in for that moment, oh yeah, I beat my dad, and he used to beat me a lot. I was young, but he used to beat me with regularity. Yeah.
At chess. At chess. We've established it.
At chess.
Oh,
At
my
chess.
goodness.
Gosh, that's tough. You're going to have to let me think on that.
Yeah. We can totally revisit it. At the end, I will be like, Anthony, have you thought of one talent that you have yet?
Spoiler alert. It's going to be tough, but I'll do my best.
I imagine there's plenty of things. All right. So that was mostly, I wish I had 4 questions because we could have hit on the 3/4 thing again because we would have only got through 3 of them. But
if you go ask her for another one and then I don't answer that last one, technically we answered 3 out of 4.
Perfect. I could just lie about it, but now 2/3 of Steph's curious questions. Oh, I love it. All right. So this next section is kind of a hybrid. I have some questions that I want your opinion on, and there were some fan questions that I really liked as well that I want your opinion on. So I titled it on my notes as Anthony's Opinion.
Hot takes, here they come.
Yeah, I know you've gone on a soapbox twice today, so I'm curious.
I have a tendency to do that. I apologize.
I like it. I might edit in like a soapbox underneath you whenever you. Okay. Probably not. I'm gonna not take the time to do that. But it's a good thought. All right. So we left off talking about manufacturer media departments and whether or not DD has kind of a unique one because it's set up with video and graphic design in mind. Do you think media departments of other manufacturers or even Dynamic Disc will continue to grow, or do you think we're going to start seeing a lot of media be outsourced towards production companies in the future? Yeah,
it's that's kind of the question for sure, is that like, do people want to do this stuff in-house or do they want to hire production companies? And we've done that before. There are pieces of content that we've put out that everybody in-house didn't touch, right? We reached out to a company and said, hey, this is what we're thinking, kind of went back and forth with them on ideas, and then said, make it happen. And they did, and we would critique it or whatever. And so we kind of dabble in both. I think it really is just going to break down onto what the company wants. If they want to handle everything in-house, I should say, and you doing this podcast, we work in a field that you make your own work, right? If we have 6 people right now, if we hired 10 people and we went up to 16 people, there's no reason that any of us should not have anything to do. We work in a field where we can make our own work, right? If somebody works out on the warehouse floor pulling wholesale orders, if there's no orders that come in, yeah, they can go and straighten up the shelves and sweep the floor and do stuff like that. But once that stuff is done, there's a finite amount that they can do. And that's not a criticism on them. That's just the nature of that job. Whereas if I had nothing to do, I can always grab a camera, grab a disc and go take pictures of it, or make an Instagram story about something, or just go out on the warehouse floor and, take a video of boxes being put onto a truck or discs being put in there. So yeah, to answer your first question, I 100% think it'll continue to grow. I think as more people find the sport and get into the sport, there's just going to be more eyes to watch content. There's going to be more people wanting to view stuff, whatever that may be. And so the more people that we have that can put that stuff out, it's somebody somewhere is going to watch it for sure. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things you guys have put out, by the way, when you were listing things, is when the video side destroyed the graphic designing side. Dude. I know. So y'all need to put out more stuff like that, even if it's very niche. I enjoy it a lot. Thank you. Be sure to bring that up anytime you see them. Hey, so remember that time that you guys got absolutely smoked by the video guys? Do you remember that? It's on YouTube. We can watch it. It is immortalized on YouTube, just like all of your early stuff. Yeah, unfortunately. So what do you think the future of disc golf coverage is? Live or post-produced? Are you talking like 2 years down the road or 20?
Let's go 5 and 10.
Okay. 10, definitely live. I think there's just sort of an inevitability behind live sports. It's just the way that it is with sports. People want to watch it live. People want to know what happens as soon as it happens. And at some point, it's just going to reach the level of, people don't want to wait. As quick as Jomez and Gatekeeper and GK and all those guys turn their stuff around, people aren't going to care. They're, if somebody's not watching the Super Bowl, they're checking ESPN on their phone and seeing what the score is or whatever. So definitely long-term live for sure. And then, short-term, I don't know when that transition happens, right? It's definitely close.
Yep.
The live numbers with Disc Golf Network they're greater than 0. It's to the point where they can at least sustain a subscription model, and people are paying enough for them to afford to keep doing it. So there is an audience there. When or what does it look like? Does the post-produced dry up? I don't know. I don't know what does it. I could see it transitioning to more, rather than recapping what happened, more of like breaking it down, I guess. How, you'll watch a football game, you'll watch Monday Night Football, and then you turn the TV on Tuesday morning, and there's all these different analysts showing highlights and breaking down plays, and this is what the team A did right, this is what team B did wrong, stuff like that. I could see that being a thing, especially with, like, to use Jomez, they have Germ, they have Sex, and they have Yuli. They have these 3 guys that have just incredibly knowledgeable disc golf minds that they can tell you what the player was trying to do, what they did wrong, how it affected them. Like they can break all that stuff down, just like we see with other sports. And so I would imagine that transition happens at some point, but yeah, live is inevitable in my mind for sure.
No, I agree with that. And that was actually my next question. It was as Elite Series and major tournaments start to become Disc Golf Network only. I can only imagine that's in the future. That's the reason why Disc Golf Network signed a 2-year deal with Jomez. Like, they're on their second year now, right? So it's like, right, this could theoretically happen after this next year. I doubt it does.
Good point.
But it could. Because that contract was what did they pay? Like $250,000 a year?
I think it was 2 years, $500,000 is what's in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
bananas, by the way.
So, yeah, don't quote us on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Well, that's going to get more expensive. Like that price isn't coming down. Right. And so it's like, how long is that sustainable? And I think there are, like you were saying, plenty of other avenues for these established post-production companies to go in. Like Jomez has already started it. And so is GK. GK does their skins. Gatekeeper does a bunch of stuff as well. Jomez has their practice round stuff, which can easily be expanded upon if they aren't doing shot by shot coverage, or maybe they get hired to do some version of shot by shot coverage. Who knows?
Right.
It'll be really interesting to see where they go with it.
Right. Well, and like you said, like everybody's kind of already started down that path of, like, you have to kind of broaden your spectrum, because if you're a content creator and you post your stuff on YouTube and something happens with your YouTube channel, like, you're gone. So you have to kind of build your audience on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all these other places, because one, it's going to help you grow. It's going to help you gain an audience and build a following. But also, at some point, something might happen, something might change where whatever it is that you do, whatever your thing is, might not be possible, or it might become too expensive, or the audience might dry up or something. So yeah, diversify is for sure. They've started that, and it's a good thing for them.
Yeah, it'll be a very interesting thing to keep an eye on in the next couple of years, for sure. All right. BJ has a question. He asked, has the passion for playing disc golf increased or decreased since working for a major manufacturer?
Yeah, this is one that I've had before. And it's a tricky answer, right? Because, and I bet that it's probably a similar sentiment for you as like a professional player, a touring player. For me, the passion has not changed. It has not disappeared. I still love it. There's nothing else that I would rather be doing. But, you know, when it's a Friday afternoon and I've been working disc golf for 40 hours already this week, it's not the first thing on my mind of I got to get out of here and go play disc golf, because it's the only thing that's been on my mind all week. And there was a point probably last year, maybe 2 years ago, where it did start to kind of fade. And I was kind of like, this, I just don't enjoy it anymore. And I didn't want that. I don't want that to be my relationship with disc golf. And so I found other things to do. I found other hobbies. I found other activities that I enjoy. And so, no, the passion has not, it's not, I mean, I guess, yeah, in a sense it did change a little bit a couple of years ago. But that's not the reason that I don't play as much. It's more of just, you need to have that kind of work-life separation. And when your life and your work are the same thing, it's hard to do that. And so just kind of finding that balance for me was tricky for a little bit. But it might be different too. There are people here that I see them on their breaks. They're out in front putting. And then after work, they're out playing the course around the warehouse. And then on the weekend, they go and get 3 rounds in on the weekend. And like, there's some people where that is their balance. And, so yeah, for me, I had to find a little bit more of a work-life balance, but it just breaks down to the person for sure. So the passion's still there, but I don't play as much as I did before.
Yeah, absolutely. I can agree with a lot of that. There was a time when I was playing and it's like, I have to go practice.
Yes.
Where for years I was like, yeah, like I'm going to go play disc golf. Mm-hmm. And then at some point it was like, I have to go practice.
Right. And that's like, especially, like when your job is playing, that's dangerous, because now it's like, I have to go to work. Whereas for me, like I get to go to work, but then if I just don't play disc golf afterwards, I don't play disc golf afterwards. But you have to play disc golf for work. Yep.
Had to go play disc golf for work.
At the time.
But, no, and it's actually been funny, even in the short period of time where I haven't been putting expectations on myself to constantly be practicing and constantly be ready. Like I've already noticed, like I enjoy disc golf a lot more. Again, I'm back to enjoying disc golf a lot more again, which has been awesome. Now, if my knee would quit hurting, that'd be even better.
Yeah. They always say absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's never absence makes the knee grow stronger. Which
That's
is
true.
Really unfortunate. We need to find something to do there.
It would put a lot of orthopedics out of business. That's for sure. So the last question I had for you in this segment is from Jesse. And yes, it is from Jesse.
Jesse?
And he said, what is the hardest part about doing media for professional disc golfers?
So the easy answer, and I'm not saying this because it's your show, but this is not a reflection of you, John. You are one of the few outliers in this regard. Used to be the biggest issue was, what's the word? Like attentiveness, maybe, right? Getting a response, getting someone to show up on time, getting someone to, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. It's going to happen at 10 a.m., be at hole 7 by 9:50 so we can get the mic and whatever. And, somebody would text you at 5 after 10 and say, I'm running a couple minutes late. And then they finally get there at 10:30 or whatever. As the sport's gotten bigger, that's definitely starting to change. Even, I won't name names, but it's Zach Melton, the most unreliable person or the hardest one to get somewhere on time, has gotten much better about that stuff. So there are people like yourself. John Kona has been just an absolute revelation to work with. It's like, we'll ask her to be somewhere at 10 and she's there before us. And it's just like, this is, now I feel like the idiot. I almost made you use your buzzer there. It's like now I'm the problem, right? And so yeah, even it doesn't really apply anymore. So maybe just working with like the different kinds of people. Although I don't like saying that that's a difficulty, because I really enjoy that. It's something that, at least me personally, I enjoy, kind of getting to learn and experience different people, and like, what is it that makes John, and what it makes Zach Melton. And you had Oakley on last week. Like, what makes Oakley? But it definitely can be challenging to, have to prepare differently for different types of people. And, if I ask you, John, to do something, we might do it one or two times just to make sure that we get the right angles and the right this or that, because you're comfortable on the camera. If we say, hey, John, I need you to talk to me about this disc, you know how to talk. You're not, well, it's like pretty sweet, man. And, wait, what? Like, you don't lose your train of thought. You kind of know what is expected of you. So yeah, maybe it is a little bit of a challenge, I guess. But it's one I like. I like learning about people. It's cool.
No, yeah, there's a lot of nuance to it for sure.
Yeah.
A quick story. I think this was at Worlds. I was not playing Worlds, but I was kind of out of it. I guess I just wasn't like in a super chatty mood or something this one day. And Anthony was like, hey, come in and do this thing real quick. So I went in there, and he gave me a disc, and he's like, talk about it. And I can't remember what I said. It wasn't good though. And luckily Anthony and I know each other really well. And he literally, like, I don't know if he even turned the camera off. And he was like, really? That's what you're gonna say?
Bro.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. All right, turn it back on.
See, that's the benefit of getting to know people, is that like when someone can handle that, you can be a jerk to them and say like, look, bro, like that sucked. Come on.
We all know when you get handed a disc, you just say, feels good in the hand.
Right. Bro, you want me to go on another soapbox?
Oh, soapbox. Let's
show
hear
me a
it.
disc review where someone doesn't say, this feels really good in my hand.
You gotta let them know.
Say, it holds any line I put it on. No, it doesn't. Not every single disc holds every single line you put it on. That's not true. It's very big pet peeve of mine, John. Big pet peeve.
I'll make sure to put out a disc review, especially for you here soon.
This one feels really good in my hand, and it holds every line I put it on, and it's really something that I can give to a beginning player and a touring professional, and they'll be able to throw it really well.
Every disc review ever.
Yeah, literally. It's frustrating, John. It's really frustrating to see. It's something that only I care about, but I care a lot.
To be fair, it is very hard to be innovative in the disc review game.
Yeah, that's right. You can't come out with something and say, well, this disc is a felon, and it flies like a felon, but it's just different. So buy this one.
There's very limited things to say, for sure. It's difficult. As a person who's done some disc reviewing, it is hard to say things better than those things that get said every time.
Hey, John, I want you to make a video about this disc, and these are the 3 bullet points we want you to say. Feels good, holds any line, anyone can throw it. Just hit all the buzzwords, all the key phrases, and it's great.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
really
the plastic is just so grippy.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect.
It's unbelievable. It's like, this is like, if it's a distance driver, this is the farthest flying disc I've ever thrown.
Yep.
It's crazy. I'm making putts more than I've ever made. It's the best putter, but I haven't made putts like this before. Don't get me started.
But what else can you do? So, I mean, I need you to reinvent disc reviews. Come out with something new that's better. I'm ready for it. That can be your talent. And speaking of talent, you think of anything, buddy? the deep sigh.
No. Knock it off.
Oh, soapbox. You have soapboxes.
Play the sound effect again. We got to go back.
Revisiting Steph's curious questions for the second time.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe this is an not entitled, but like a whatever. I feel like I'm a pretty good listener. Like, I really enjoy learning about people and hearing like what they have to say about themselves. And so I feel like when someone's talking about, who they are or why they're the way that they are, I feel like I'm pretty good at listening and like paying attention, because that's something that I'm definitely interested in. And there's definitely people that don't care about other people and are like, you're the way that you are. You're different than me, so you suck. And I don't need to learn anything else about you. And like, those people are those people. I don't associate with that, because I like learning about people, and I think it's super interesting. So yeah, there.
No, that's it, your listening is a great talent to have. I love learning about other people too, but my listening skills are 3/4 of the way there, to go with a theme.
You're lucky it was the ring finger, John, because I would.
And with that, we exit Steph's curious questions for the second time.
Again.
I double pressed the button and didn't go well. All right. So the last section of this, whenever I have a disc golf athlete on here, I typically ask how to. You are a disc golf athlete. I'm sorry. That was a big unintentional humongous burn. Whenever I have a professional disc golf athlete, I'm sorry. I should have clarified before I said that.
Since we don't have that this time, let's really dumb these questions down.
All right. To get into these questions, instead of asking Anthony about what he recommends that you do to become a better disc golfer, which he may interject with another soapbox and let you know something, because he's got some good knowledge on those things. But I wanna pick his brain about media. So if somebody is curious and wants to kind of explore disc golf media, how would you recommend somebody get started with that?
It's kind of like what we touched on earlier, where you just have to do it, right? Whatever it is that you are wanting to explore or intrigued by, or whatever kind of avenue it is that you want to check out, just do it. If it's video, if it's photography, your phone is as good as you need to start out. It's miles better than you need to start out, especially if your main goal is to post things on Instagram or social media, things like that. If you have a smartphone from the last 5 years, yep, it's plenty. It's plenty. So even if you want to do a podcast, you can record. The microphone's not the best, but you can record on like the voice memos thing. You can record audio, video, pictures, anything like that straight on your phone, upload it straight on your phone, edit it from your phone. It's, yeah, like you said you did with this podcast, like I did on YouTube back in the day. You just have to start it, and eventually you're gonna find the avenue that maybe if you start with photography and you find that you actually like videos better and you're better at that and whatever, you'll find that and you'll get on the right path. You just, like you had said, you just have to get on the path. You have to take that step.
Yep. And by the way, if you are looking for like miking stuff, like you can buy a $10 lavalier microphone from Amazon and they work phenomenal.
Right.
If you want a wireless one, you're going to have to spend a little bit more than that. But
yes, it can get very expensive very quickly.
They can.
The barrier of entry is already in your pocket.
Yes, absolutely. Cell phones are so good. I'm filming on my computer right now, but for my cell phone can actually record higher quality than this. It's just not as user friendly for this interface. But
right.
1080p is all I'm recording, and that does fantastic. Right. What would you recommend, like, as some of the most important skills to have, whether that's for video or for photography or anything like that?
The biggest thing is going to be like some combination of patience and determination, right? It's not when you take your first picture or post your first video or your first podcast or whatever it is, you're not going to be Simon Lizotte. You're not going to have 200,000 subscribers. You're not going to get 100,000 views. It's going to get a couple because someone somewhere is going to find it. You're going to share it on Facebook and your mom will go check it out or whatever.
My mom does that.
Like same, 100% same. So when you posted the tangent, when you posted the thing about if anyone had questions, I shared it and she replied, she said, tell him to ask how much he loves his mother. So she will be listening.
I love my mom a lot.
Yes, same. I love my mother a lot as well. Yeah, so don't expect overnight success, especially with how much the sport has grown. I don't want to say that the disc golf media is oversaturated, but if you rewind 10 years, there's a fraction of what we have now. And so it's the more people that start doing things, the harder it's going to be to get noticed and to get a following or have your stuff get views or likes or whatever it is. It's only going to keep growing. So yeah, you have to have patience to know that the first thing you do is not going to be the best. It's probably going to be the worst thing that you do. The first video that you make is probably going to be the worst video you ever make. And so you have to have the patience to let yourself learn and get better. And you have to be determined because that's going to take time. It's going to, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month. It's going to be a while, but if it's something that you enjoy and you want, you can definitely do it. Yeah. I can do it, and I'm an idiot.
I disagree with that part, but yes, you can do it.
Oh, I can't do it, but I'm an idiot. That's fair. That's super fair, John. Thank you.
Not what I said. Putting words in my mouth. No, and social media for this purpose is so good as well as you can put stuff. It's almost like putting a portfolio out there that people can see. So if your goal is to get noticed by somebody in disc golf or maybe not in disc golf, people can see what you have created and how you've progressed over time as well. So get started, figure out a type of content you like to create. That's how I got into podcasting. I was like, I like to talk. This should be good. And go ahead. And go with it. Just get out there and do it.
Yes, that is what you just said there about find something you like is huge. Because if you're doing something from the get-go that you don't enjoy, it's going to be 10, 15, 20 times harder to stick with it than if you do something that you like and you make a video and you say, that was cool. I liked that video. I liked making that. I liked whatever. And it gets 5 views. Who cares? You still liked it, right? Eventually that's going to turn into 10, 15, 50, 100, whatever. But if it's something that you hate, then it's just going to be like, look, I spent all that time and effort on this thing that I didn't like. I had to buy the disc. I had to drive to the course. I had to do all this stuff. And 7 people watched it. I just don't. If it's just straight up negative, it's not the easy way. It's not, I don't want to say it's the wrong way, but it's definitely harder.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Whenever all your motivation is from, oh, how did that do? Rather than, oh, I enjoyed the process of doing that. Yeah. One makes it much easier to continue, and the other completely relies on extrinsic motivation, which is few and far between. Sometimes you put out really good videos and nobody watches them. And sometimes you put out something and you're like, man, that was questionable and people love it. And you're like, what?
Yes. Yes. So if you go back and rewatch my original videos, you'll see how terrible they are. But then if you go and click they changed it. I think it says popular or most viewed videos or something like that. Yeah. If you go and watch those, my 5 most viewed videos combined took me 5 minutes to make. And it's like, really, these are the ones that people like. These are the ones that people think are entertaining or whatever. And I did this because I had an idea and it took 2 seconds. But you know what? That's the way she goes.
Yes. It's very, very strange understanding what people like to view on the interwebs. Well, with all of that being said, Anthony, thank you so much for your time and joining me on the podcast today.
Absolutely.
I've made fun of your injury a lot, but I do hope your finger is okay.
I think it's only fair because you had 115 injuries last year. And I probably was sympathetic for 2 or 3 of them. And then I was just like, all right, John, that's enough. You've had enough injuries. It's time to stop. now. You know, like you're faking it at this point.
Made of glass out here, man. Just made of glass. All right. Before you go, do you have anything going on that you would like to plug, or where can people find you on social media?
So Facebook is just my name. Instagram is DG Weekly. I don't hardly post much anymore. A lot of 99.9% of the stuff that I do or make comes out through the Dynamic Discs channels. So if you're interested in Dynamic Discs, or for some odd reason myself, it's Dynamic Discs everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Check out DD, I guess, or Westside or Latitude or whatever. You know, just have fun with it, man.
Absolutely. Make sure to check out the podcast that should be returning in 2023 as well.
Fingers crossed. You can go back and listen to the old episodes. Unstable Minds. I had a blast doing that. Had a blast. In the past when we did it, I had a blast, and I hope to continue having a blast again sometime in the future. There's no exact return date, but I'm still optimistic that we're moving in the right direction, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes back, I want to be on there. So
absolutely,
we'll put it out on video, so it has to happen.
Right. It's written in law now. It is, at some point the show has to come back. John has to be on. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Yep. No other qualifications. Those are pretty loose there.
Yeah. That's it. A really easy checklist to do. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. No, it is not. And because of that, you will not be getting on SpaceX.
Dang it.
I'm sorry. And that is how we are going to end the show. Thank you all for tuning in. And remember, if you like the show, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. I remembered all of them. Do all the things, please. It really, really helps us out. And I will be seeing all of you next week. Have a good one.
You can see them?